tipped by the cold. So as opposed to those pretty orange-red flowers, we're seeing brown little tips on the ends of the leaves.
Going to stay like that?
It'll probably come back out fairly shortly. I'm just hoping we don't get another, friend of from Chicago that Ken has invited down. It's funny. People will come visit us, and all of a sudden, it's amazing to me. They want that nice warm temperature, which we're famous for. And every once in a while, we get down to near freezing, and they're thinking, especially if they've just come down from someplace cold, of course, then 32 still seems maybe okay if you're from Chicago, like Ken is.
Yeah, my daughter was down for Christmas, and she said the 50s were fine, thank you.
50s were great, yeah. Compared to Chicago or upper New York State or Michigan, in some of those states, it gets cold and stays cold forever. So, as I say, we survive the wintertime, the Christmas freeze for 2 days, and then we're back to, 80s by New Year's. So that is typical Florida, and that's one of the reasons people want to relocate here, besides being taxed out of their mind in so many other states.
Did you hear stories about a lot of people losing plants in that cold snap?
I did hear from some people, did see some damage. I had a lady the other day, I looked at one of her, the side of her home, and she had all of these copper plants. And they look like copper, kind of, red copper-looking leaf. And, of course, she was dropping almost every leaf. And she was out on the beaches, which is normally about 10 degrees warmer than inland. But, when it gets down to near freezing, copper plants, Latin name is Acalypha wilksiana, doesn't really like the cold. Crotons don't like the cold. Some of those are showing some leaf drop. My hibiscus are dropping some foliage. All the true tropicals, most of them don't really like freezing. They like Hawaii. and we are Hawaii here most of the year. But on occasion, we get a little bit of cold. Now, having been a native born in Tampa Bay, I kind of like it when it gets a little cooler because, every summer was hot, and every summer is still hot. And, of course, I don't know, people always tell me, oh, it's hotter this year than last year. Well, every summer is going to be hot in Florida. The nice thing is, I have central air now. When I was a kid, some people had central air, few, and some of them had window shakers, but the vast majority of the homes here had about as much air conditioning as you had in Chicago, which probably most homes didn't. When
we had one, not central, but we had one air conditioner in the dining room.
One window shaker, yeah.
That was it for the whole house.
And you were happy about that?
Not really, because I had a second floor bedroom.
Oh, okay. So you're hoping, heat rises. So.
That's right, exactly.
So you were like I was. You probably had a big box fan in my room.
Yes.
And I thought, well, this will kind of do it. And, well, it kind of did. I mean, people go, well, how did you survive? Well, you survived. I mean, ask our poor soldiers, how do you survive in the desert? Well, they did, and they do. They may not have liked it, but, that's the conditions you're in.
Well, I consider AC one of the greatest inventions of the 20th century.
Oh, I would agree with you 100%, except when I get my electric bill at the end of the month.
Or when they go out like mine did over the week.
Yeah, you were saying.
Lost my compressor, so.
You should have called Easy Breezy AC.
Well, I haven't put a new one in, so maybe I will.
Yeah, okay. Well, let them price you out. I think you'll find that they will be competitive. Mention Mr. Greenthumb, and they give you an extra bonus off. I think it's an extra $10 for the service call, and they will. They're price competitive. I know they worked on the station here, and they said, "Hey, we can't do it for nothing, but we will be cost effective. We'll be cost efficient. We'll compete."
That's all I'm looking for.
So if somebody's willing to compete for my dollars, then I feel like I've won, because so many times you go into places and they'll go, here's what it is. I mean, I brought my van in last year to a repair shop, and the guy goes, well, it's $1,100 for this thing. And my son goes, I can do it in 30 minutes, and it cost $86. And I said, sold. and I'll even buy your dinner. But, the other place has it, well, you got to buy it, parts that we have under a warranty system. And I said, well, the vehicle's only worth $2,500, and you want me to put half of the cost of the vehicle because you want warranty parts that I don't know I'll have the vehicle that long. And anyway, we went a couple of rounds around that, and he was one of my friends, and still I guess is. But I kept thinking, he was kind of upset when I said, no, I don't know. That's more money than I think I should. So,
well, yeah, if the car wasn't worth it, I mean.
Any vehicle that runs is good, and I always say I'd rather have good brakes so you can stop. This happened to be not that. It was something that helped the firing thing. I don't know. They don't have distributors and stuff like when you and I were kids, but it was some type of electrical part. But literally, James had all the things changed within an hour, and it was $86. So it made sense. I said $1,100 to 86. Didn't take me too long to figure out that one.
Well, next time I got some car trouble, I'll give James a call.
Yeah, give him a holler. He is. I am blessed with a youngster who can do just about anything, and I don't know where he got it because it's not necessarily my ballywick, but when I was younger and I had to, I did learn to take out radiators and put them back in. But in the old days, you could do that. There was stuff that was pretty easy to do. Today, a lot of the stuff is all components. And
you can't reach anything today.
Yeah, and that can be, a problem. Not easy breezy, but I mentioned to you years ago, I was on a station. We're going back 25 years ago, maybe 30 now. And I had the guys come in because I'd heard their advertising on the radio station. And they had like the little flags on the shirts and stuff. And I thought, well, I like that. If you're going to wear an American flag on your shirt, you gain 2 points with me. And but they put this thing in. It was like a rotary pump, and it was like a rotary engine, like the Wankel. Anyway, a year later, the thing had died, and I'd paid for the service for them to come out. And the guy comes out and he goes, "Who sold you this piece of crud?" And I went, "You did." And he went, "Oh, we had a big." I called up the owner and said, "Your guy just told me that you sold me a piece of crud. What do you have to say about that?" And he was like, he tap danced and danced, and then I decided that after that, I would be more in control of things.
Probably a good idea, yeah.
So, but as in so many things in life, there isn't, and I don't even mind that there's problems. I expect life to have problems, but I expect people to do the best job they can and treat me fair. And I think you'll find Easy Breezy will do that with you. I know Stafford, I always hear good stories back about Stafford Tree when I recommend them. And I hear good things about plants, Plantz. If people want to rent plants for things, I've had people call me back and say, "Hey, we ordered plants for Mom up in wherever, and for Grandma, and it was just a wonderful experience." So I like it when I get good feedback from people that people have been taken care of well. And so there again, I expect problems in life. But, we go out, we work with trees. Often we were injecting some oaks the other day, actually a pine, and also a sweet gum. But they had problems, and originally the call came in that there was Spanish moss. Well, Spanish moss is not a parasite, but it does kind of indicate that maybe your tree may be declining a little bit. And because there's a competition between the moss. If the moss can really grow all over, the tree is probably not having the foliage that it used to have. So that could be an indicator of problems. The moss itself is not a parasite. It's not like mistletoe that actually grows into the branch, and eventually you have to have the branch cut. But we looked at it. There were some signs of some borer activity in these trees early. And if we catch it early, even with pine trees, which are kind of finicky, I've had some pines we've kept alive for 20 years. And that's amazing. And I say, why should you keep pines alive? Well, Pinellas, we were once known for that across the whole area. So it makes sense. Anyway, how's the progress report in your area? How are things in the Sun City Center?
Quiet as usual. You go to bed at 9. It's the law. You got to be up at dawn.
Is that an official rule?
It's just the law. You see it on the signs when you enter the town. So if you live here, you must be in bed by 9 o'clock. No compromises on that one.
Do we have people going through monitoring?
I think they might. Yeah, I see little security guards walking around once in a while. So it's a nice place to live. But all our plants survived. Everything that I was dealing with out there is already 30, 40 years old. So it's gone through a couple of freezes, I imagine, by now.
You probably got rid of the stuff that's not very cold hardy.
Yeah. So in fact, I had some flowers on a couple of bushes the day after it got that cold. All of a sudden, there were flowers out there. So whatever they put in the right ones. Oh, thanks. Thank you very much. No, so if you covered everything. I saw some people, Stan was talking about this a couple of weeks ago there, where people were covering their plants wrong. And as I was driving around during that cold spell, I was looking at it, and he was absolutely right. People were just covering the top of the plant. I did see a few people were doing it right, so we'll talk more about that when we get back.
Want to talk real estate? Call James DeFreitas at 727-254-7127 or go online aflre.com. Broken air conditioner? Keep your home's AC running smoothly all year long with Easy Breezy AC. With thousands of active commercial and residential customers, Easy Breezy AC is Tampa Bay's most trusted HVAC company. Easy Breezy AC cares about those in need. Donate 2 cans of food and receive $20 off a $79 service call. Go to easybreezyac.com and use promo code Greenthumb for an additional $10 off your service call. Call 727-856-HVAC. Life's hard. Comfort's not.
Why choose Stafford Tree Service? Is it because they're experienced, have the latest equipment, and friendly professional personnel? Absolutely. Stafford's positioned themselves as a leading tree trimming company in all of Tampa Bay. With honest professionals and competitive pricing, they'll earn your trust too. In business for over 15 years, Stafford Tree Service is licensed, bonded, and insured to provide you the very best tree trimming experience. Call today, 727-546-8786, 727-546-8786. On the web at staffordtreesvc.com.
Biophilia, our innate attraction to other living things. It's why people love plants. And around Tampa Bay, Plants, that's Plantz, is bringing nature inside, in workspaces and homes by delivering beautiful foliage plants. Our plants increase oxygen and filter out pollutants, reducing stress and improving productivity. And get you in touch with your biophilic side. Go to plantz.us.
Are you paying too much for your health insurance? Are your deductibles too high? Or are you completely uninsured? If you answered yes to any of these questions, Healthcare Help Desk can help you now when people need help the most. Health insurance laws and rules have changed. If you have Obamacare, are uninsured, or your premiums are too high, call Healthcare Help Desk. It's free. New healthcare plans are available, and you may qualify for dental coverage and lower copays and deductibles. Make the free call now. Top quality coverage at the lowest prices anywhere. You may be paying too much and not even know it. In these troubled times, healthcare is more important than ever. Don't let another day go by without health insurance. Policies are being offered with very low copays and deductibles. So if you're uninsured, underinsured, or paying too much, call Healthcare Help Desk.
800-820-6058. 800-820-6058. 800-820-6058.
Dennis Prager here with a suggestion on adding luxury to your life. Add coronacigar.com to your favorites and go there often. Their selection of premium cigars, humidors, and accessories is unequaled. Shop for premium brands: Drew Estate, Rocky Patel, Padron, Davidoff, Punch, Florida Sungrown, Cohiba. If you like to shop for limited editions, then coronacigar.com is the place for you. The Drew Estate State's 20-acre farm with Florida sun-grown tobacco is a great example. Since CoronaCigar.com is a member of the Tobacco Association of America, they receive newly released cigars available to only a handful of retailers. So how about upgrading your humidor? That's what I did. This site is also a great reference for fun and exciting cigar events. Check it out. Enjoy fast, free shipping with orders of over $100. CoronaCigar.com, CoronaCigar.com.
Welcome back to the Ask Mr. Greenthumb in Real Estate Show. Connect online at AskMrGreenthumb.com. Got questions about gardening, real estate, or both? Locally, call 813-289-1860. Toll free at 877-969-8600. And now, your hosts, Stan and James DeFreitas.
And we are here to answer your questions. Actually, James is off on assignment, but we have a couple of shows that we recorded next week and the week after. Had some good comments. We had a good show, I think, last weekend. We were certainly had Todd Saylor and his Wired Differently. A lot of people said, hey, interesting kind of guy. We enjoyed his banter and his ability to think outside the box. And certainly he is a visionary, and I love to have visionaries on the show because there's so few of them. But if you have a question and you want to give us a call right now, you can call us at 1-877-969-8600 or 813-289-1860. And I'm one of those easy guys to talk to. You won't have to worry about me trying to, make you look bad. I always wonder when you're talking with some of the guys on politics, they live it 24/7, so it's hard to carry a great conversation with them sometimes because that's all they do. That's their field. And the rest of us just kind of have to live by it. But Mr. Ken is in there in master control too. And we have Brian also turning the knobs. He's the man behind the counter.
So I was saying before we went to the break there that I drove around the neighborhood to look at who had protected their plants and how they did it. And 90% of them, as you predicted, did it wrong.
They just kind of covered over
it was
that
like a little bonnet on top, yeah.
It looked pretty.
It looked fine.
Yeah, it just didn't do much. But
I did see some folks who did go out and spend some money and buy some proper covers all the way to the ground. So
that was, yeah. And I must say, I even did that on one of mine. I have a pot. And I threw it over the African bush daisy just because I wanted to keep the frost off of it. And it kind of worked, except the wind came through, and what happens is I had to pick it up a couple of different times and then try to secure it on there a little better because I didn't have any more containers or more. I should have covered more because my basil got cooked, which I love, and my French oregano or Cuban oregano got injured too. And my bananas got injured. Hibiscus got injured. Crotons got injured. All of the tropicals that you knew. I did bring in my spathiphyllum and a few other things, or at least brought down to a protected area.
So before you start replacing all this stuff that's now dead in your yard, give Stan a call.
Yeah.
He'll tell you what you should buy and what you shouldn't buy.
Yeah, I was just thinking, perennials now, a lot of people will replant. I would say normally make sure when you do some planting that, if it's a low area and real low that holds water all the time, bring in some soil or bring in some boxes or make a raised box. Get your salt buff off the ground because you can always add more water, but it's hard if you have an area that always sits in water. So that might be a tool. Remember, most plants need pretty bright sun, so it's tougher on the north side of your home. You might have to think of plants that will take that. There are some ferns, there are some begonias, there are some philodendrons that will take lower light. Many of your house plants, like spathiphyllum, aglaonema, crotons even, will take a little lower light. So those are things that you can put in low light, but I always find people want to put real bright, flowering plants on, let's say, on the north side of their home. And typically you don't get as much light there. And often if you have an overhang of the roof, you have almost a constant shade area for much of the year. And depending on how the sun goes over your home and how your home is situated. But normally the east and west and south are going to be the areas that gain more light. And remember that big photosynthetic factory, the sun, is really helping to keep us going. So, if you're going to improve the soil, and I recommend it, there are a bunch of different good potting soils out there. I used to use Granny's on occasion. There are a bunch of different ones I used to use. I used to use Fafford when I'd get a great big bunch of soil in. I do think good soil has, peat usually has some kind of perlite in it, and it'll be a little bit lighter, and so you can continue to water it. But pick a good site. That's important. Some of the perennials that you can put in, like some of the lilies, and I was thinking caladiums come back every year. They're kind of one of the few bulbs that do well here. Some of the...
What about roses? Is that a good plant down here?
Well, I like roses. Roses do get into black spot and powdery mildew. I used to joke when I gave talks at some of the home shows, and don't do too many home shows anymore, but maybe we might. I had a few reach out to me this last season saying, hey, we may want to use you again, which I'd like to do. But, if they do, then I'd say go to the home show, and if they don't, well, then don't. But it's just that simple, But I would say one of the things in really improving things is important. And I used to talk about that during the shows. With roses in particular, I'd say, look, they only get black spot, powdery mildew, aphids, spider mites, and scales. And other than that, they're trouble-free. So
it's a no-go on a rose plant.
Well, no, and I have a rose. I have a couple roses. They're worth the fight. And some are hardier and tougher than others. I had a Don Juan I had for years at my other home in Clearwater, and it must have lived for 20, 25 years. And I loved that Don Juan because it just didn't seem to have many problems. A lot of your hybrid teas are more finicky, and they want to be, you'll see rosarians will be out there spraying every week with a fungicide and probably an insecticide as needed. They do get into a lot of black spot. You don't see it as much in some parts of the country where it stays drier. But now we just had a nice little dry spell here for a few days. But remember, that dry spell was for a few days.
That's right.
So, we're back up. The humidity is starting to increase. You can almost feel it. And as it does increase, then you have more chances of black spot, powdery mildew, all of these fungi that can be a problem. And it's part of the problem because we live in a humid, we're covered, our state, we're a peninsula in the water. And so we're going to get more water. Now, that's good. I mean, I'd almost rather have more water and worry about that than I would, let's say, live in California where they don't have enough water.
Oh, certainly. Always go with the water.
Go with the water.
Yeah.
And I worry about them because I think they should be using their desalinization and turning some of that salt water into potable water. And it could be done. But no, let's give trillions of dollars around the rest of the world. Need no war toy? Here you go. I mean, one of the things I think you could think about is before, when Eisenhower was leaving office, he said, be wary of the industrial military complex. And he was a military man. He was our head general.
Yeah, he knew what he was talking about.
And he was right.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a little off gardening, but we're all affected by I look at that and I go, well, it's $1 trillion a year. That's not much. Well, yes, it is. I can't even imagine a number of numbers for $1 trillion. We'll talk more about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, along with some gardening and real estate right here on AM 860, The Answer. So stay with us or give us a call. 813-289-1860. We'll put you on the air with us. Stay with us.
Interested in having a home consult? Remember, you can reach Stan at 727-423-4794 or on the web at AskMrGreenthumb.com. Did you know that Stan DeFrida's Mr. Green Thumb can come to your house and examine your plants, trees, and palms? His knowledge can help you become the envy of your neighborhood with lush, green, healthy trees that don't just live, but thrive. Palms and oak trees are part of what makes Florida a beautiful place to live, but they get diseases and are often cut down. We offer ways to save your trees. Call or text Stan today at 727-423-4794 or go online to askmrgreenthumb.com. That's ASKMR Greenthumb.com.
AM 860, The Answer. Listen on our website, theanswertampa.com. 83.7 FM. W229DJ Dunedin. By downloading the Answer Tampa app or on TuneIn or Odyssey. Here's the latest from the Answer News Center. AM 860, The Answer. Online at theanswertampa.com. AM 860, The Answer.
Here's an unexpected, unplanned, and unprecedented buying opportunity from International Diamond Center. A massive store-wide clearance sale now through January 15th. IDC's on a mission to clear out excess inventory. We've slashed prices on a multi-million-dollar selection of rings, earrings, pendants, bands, bracelets, and more. You save 20, 30, even 40% on selected pieces of exquisite jewelry. And because IDC doesn't play the markup to markdown game, you know these discounts are the real deal. Hoop earrings, save 33% off IDC's already low price. Diamond stud earrings, marked down 28%. Fashion bracelets, 30% off. Fancy yellow diamonds, save an incredible 40%. Extreme values in virtually every category. If you have a special occasion coming up this year, or if you just love an unbelievable deal, you can't miss this special savings event. It's IDC's Surprise Clearance Sale with unprecedented discounts store-wide. Outrageous savings now through Sunday, January 15th only, and only at International Diamond Center. Get showroom directions, store hours, and learn more at shopidc.com.
Cable news. Noisy, out of touch, on repeat. Tired of all the lookalikes? So are we. Salem News Channel is here to change the game. Streaming 24/7, free on your TV, with the greatest collection of conservative voices. Home to Dinesh D'Souza, Andrew Wilkow, Brandon Tatum, and more. Like you, we say what's wrong and what's right, unfiltered and unapologetic. Salem News Channel. We're the answer to the mainstream media. Learn more at snc.tv.
Welcome back to the Ask Mr. Green Thumb in Real Estate Show. Got questions about perennial flowers? What about issues with closing on your newest property? Locally, call 813-289-1860. Toll free at 877-969-8600. And now your hosts, Stan and James DeFridas.
And James is off, but one of the things I did want to mention is that we have a condo. Now, you know, I've always enjoyed helping James. He has started his own brokerage, and it is Dream It Real Estate. And if you can dream it, we can make it happen. And I say that. I see our old buddy Terry was watching. Terry Kelly, great agent in his own right, and certainly a wisdom man of knowledge. And we're glad that he's watching with us, along with a number of others that we have, which you can tune in to, I guess, but we're on both YouTube and Facebook, Ask Mr. Green Thumb. And we will say that we have a unit, 1900 59th Avenue North, number 112, and I believe it's going for $145,500. So we're having activity on it. We've got people wanting to see it. And if you are interested, to me, it's a lovely community. It's well landscaped. They've got shuffleboard, and it's a 55-plus community. And that's a plus for a lot of folks. If you're tired, let's say you're at the stage where you don't want to mow anymore. And I can still get some mowing done because I'm sitting on my keister on a rider, and kind of still lets me do some things. Don't think I could, it'd be harder for me to push mow like I did when I was a youngster. So, there are times when as you get older, you're going to have to make some decisions on what you want to do or what you don't want to do. And, for me, having a place where I can still do some puttering, James has built me some boxes that are up off the ground so I can still, I don't have to get down on the ground like I used to. And so I look at life as every few years you have to, the cards get reshuffled and you have to play the cards that are given to you.
Well, I tease the folks down in Sun City, but I do like it there.
Well, I bet, yeah, because your grass is mowed. It's an attractive place. I like your Bermuda. One of the things I noticed with the freeze that some of my broadleaf weeds got frozen.
Oh.
And I thought, great, because I didn't really want to go out there and spray them too much. I mean, here it's funny. I am a licensed certified pest control operator, but mostly I go save trees these days. I'm not really looking for a lot of...
I have no sympathy for the weeds.
Me neither. I mean, I have used my share of atrazine over the years and probably gallons and gallons of Roundup on areas where I had to. Did not a lot, but I did my share of land scraping and enjoyed, putting in trees and palms and all that stuff. And it was fun, but it's also kind of a younger man's game.
That's hard work. That's hard physical work.
It is hard work. And, it's tough. I couldn't be jumping on shovels today like I used to. Even 10 years ago.
I worked for a greenhouse when I was 16.
Did you?
For a summer. I got to get a real job, yeah.
I was gonna say, I worked in a nursery when I was 16, and it's funny, I told Granddad Wedding at the time, I said, this weed pulling stuff, I didn't think that was manly enough for me. And so he said, oh, okay, you need manly work. So he put me on a wheelbarrow and had me move gravel for like 2 days straight where I had blisters on top of blisters. And he gave me a little education on maybe not, I went back to the weeding and said, this isn't really so bad. But I just, the insolence of being a youngster and thinking you...
All perspective, isn't it?
You know it all. And I must admit, I was a typical 16-year-old who thought, well, I can reinvent the wheel. And no, you tend to go along with the wheel, and the wheel will sometimes crush you, and you better learn how to get in front of the wheel. But I enjoyed working there, learned to, help to put in some irrigation stuff. I don't think I'm an irrigation guy, but I helped put in piping and did stuff around the nursery and used to drive like an old 1948 tractor through a mobile home park they had. And I'd help people there and doing stuff. And we did some fertilizations and picking stuff up. My old buddy Paul helped me. And we had a system going through and saying how to folks, and we mowed the whole mobile home park with hand mowers back then. No salt propel, no rider, just
the real thing.
The real thing. Paul on one side, me on the other, and we would do like fronts or backs or fronts, and we'd get the whole thing knocked out, in a week. And every day we'd go through with this old 48 tractor and help pick up stuff for people who needed help getting stuff picked up.
Well, I have sympathy for anybody who has to work outside in Florida in the summer.
Well, and my dad had been in the restaurant business, so I'd started working in that somewhat too. So I'd helped learn a little bit of prep cooking and that kind of stuff. And I worked at a diner where, we ran loads of dishes and stuff. So I had a whole appreciation from the bottom end of the restaurant. Not that the dishwasher and prep cooking stuff is just as important as any other part of the restaurant, but at the time you don't quite feel it. It's a lot of work. And I remember sometimes just being dead tired, and then you went into the ice cold box to get something out for the chef or the cook. And, you were almost glad to get in there because at least it was ice cold for a few minutes. Anyway, some of the life experience I have gone through.
Hey, you seem to like heat.
Well, you in Florida, you better learn to like heat. I liked heat. As a real youngster, I remember vague memories. We had a little cottage up on the Thousand Islands between New York and Canada. And so that was different. We'd go up there for the summertime and be up there for the summer and then get back for school time. But I was pretty young back then. But I do have some memories of that period of my life. And I remember in the middle of, I think, Wesley Island, they had a little pump thing. You could pump some water, like an old-fashioned hand pump. And
Really?
I remember the water being really cold as a youngster. And I
It probably didn't taste very good either to you.
Actually, I thought it tasted great, but, you're little and, I didn't think it wasn't like Florida. If you've ever had Florida shallow water, it's pretty sulfury. So, you have to go pretty deep to get good water here. Usually the shallow wells are okay for, using in your yard. But of course, now today I have a reclaimed water, which we use, and that makes it easy.
Do you have a big tank buried somewhere, or what? How does it work?
Oh, no, it's just reclaimed as, it comes from the city. They reprocess
Okay,
gray
I see what
water.
you're saying. All right.
And so I have a sprinkler system, and I just have a clock, and it clicks it on. I've got a meter that shuts it off if we get rain, little tube, and like a tensometer. And if it fills that little tube up, then it shuts my system down. But, and some people are worried about, gray water, but, that's something we've been using for years. Haven't seen any problems. They used it at the community gardens for probably 40 years, and I've never heard of any real problems down there. I would say, like any time you get a vegetable, you should wash it in your sink with fresh water. And there are things you can actually go over your vegetables with if you think something's bad. But, gray water is probably a good alternative than dumping all the stuff they used to right into Tampa Bay. And they did that forever. So,
They weren't alone. It was happening all over the place.
Sure.
Yeah, and New York used to do that kind of thing, too.
Well, yeah. In fact, I'm disappointed. I guess, we all do this recycling, which is great. But I was reading an article the other day that about 95% of the stuff that we have that we recycle and separate either gets buried, burned, or most of it's buried, and some of it still gets winding up out into the ocean. And wrong. But here I think I'm happy separating stuff, putting my cardboard in the blue container and my cans and my glass, but most of it's not. Most of it's not recycled properly. It cost, I guess, too much to break it down and crush it up and reuse it. I guess it is on occasion, and I guess paper can be recycled fairly easy, but some of the stuff like glass and other stuff, not as much as I'd hoped for. But with each new day, there's fresh new hope. So,
I never got much into recycling myself.
No, well, a lot of times there wasn't any recycling in the old days. Everything went into the garbage.
Yeah.
But today we do have things where we separate stuff, but apparently, most of the time it's not really being recycled the way we think.
Up in Chicago, they put one, this landfill went on forever, and they finally closed it off and, put grass all over the top. And now it's a wonderful toboggan slide.
Well, see. But they must have some other place they're putting it.
Yeah, sure. They're starting another pile somewhere.
Another pile, another hill
right
outside of Chicago. But so anyway, that's one of the things you can do. I guess when we talk about some of the perennials, we can improve it. I think mulching helps. I think it makes the beds look better. I need to do that on some of my own, but there again, it's just moving around for me has been more of a problem in the last few years than it was before.
Is mulch better than the pebble rock, or does it really make any difference?
Well, mulch will break down, so there's going to be some food value there eventually to the soil. And remember, when we use the term soil here, we use it pretty loosely. We've got about 1% organic matter in our typical sand. So improving the soil's better. So mulch eventually breaks down and gives you you can actually start to see over a long period of time the soil improve. It starts to turn, black. And, black is a good color for soil.
Not gray.
If you're going to grow. Well, a lot of what we have is white sand. We were at one time all covered by the ocean, so you don't have to dig down very far, and you start to find some shell and a lot of ancient sea creatures that were there when it was covered over. And of course, if you listen to some folks, will be covered over again in the next year or two.
I don't think it's that quick. But.
Well, yeah, according to Al Gore, was it 25 years ago? We're going to be covered over in a year. But maybe he was more of a politician than a scientist.
I think we're safe for about 100 years.
Yeah, I would think we're for a while, and hopefully man will figure out ways to recycle carbon. And I can say one of the best ways to get carbon recycled is plant more trees.
There you go.
God had a pretty good thing going on there. Plant those trees; they take in the carbon dioxide. They give off oxygen. It's a pretty nifty system. So. And you ever notice when you're around the forest and around these trees, you just kind of feel like, there's more oxygen. It feels cleaner. It is. It's we don't need more asphalt. We probably need more trees where we can put them. And I am happy when you get up and look around, you'll see a lot of trees. If you fly across the state, there's still quite a bit of open area. Not in the cities, but in the open areas. Anyways,
for now.
Stay with us as the Plant Talk and Real Estate Talk continues here on AM 860, The Answer.
Want to talk real estate? Remember, you can reach Stan at 727-423-4794 or on the web at AskMrGreenthumb.com.
Why choose Stafford Tree Service? Is it because they're experienced, have the latest equipment, and friendly professional personnel? Absolutely. Stafford's positioned themselves as a leading tree trimming company in all of Tampa Bay. With honest professionals and competitive pricing, they'll earn your trust too. In business for over 15 years, Stafford Tree Service is licensed, bonded, and insured to provide you the very best tree trimming experience. Call today, 727-546-8786, 727-546-8786. On the web at StaffordTreeSVC.com.
Biophilia, our innate attraction to other living things. It's why people love plants. And around Tampa Bay, Plants, that's Plantz, is bringing nature inside, in workspaces and homes by delivering beautiful foliage plants. Our plants increase oxygen and filter out pollutants, reducing stress and improving productivity. And get you in touch with your biophilic side. Go to plantz.us.
How'd you like to eliminate your expensive cable bill forever or get new satellite internet where cable can't go? Well, now you can have affordable satellite internet service for a few dollars a day. All you need is a mini satellite installed, and you can have unlimited internet connections wirelessly in your home or office. And no cable boxes means unlimited connections and no clutter. You can surf the internet or stream any of your favorite television services with no cable. And the best part is, satellite internet service costs only a few dollars a day for your entire home. Yes, fast internet to surf or stream television for a few bucks a day. Call now for free details and learn how to drop your expensive cable bill.
800-696-6902. 800-696-6902. 800-696-6902. That's 800-696-6902.
Welcome back to the Ask Mr. Greenthumb and Real Estate Show. Connect online at AskMrGreenthumb.com. Got questions about gardening, real estate, or both? Locally, call 813-289-1860. Toll free at 877-969-8600. And now, your hosts, Stan and James DeFreitas.
And James is off on assignment, and I will tell you that, of course, I'm here today. Today is live. If you've got some questions about your trees, shrubs, and the like, well, we'll try to answer them. I've been doing this for a long time. I guess this is like my 45th year of doing radio, so long time. Started off when I was a youngster, and I was in my early 20s when I started doing some radio, and I've enjoyed it ever since. Been doing, did a national show for a while. I saw Mr. Steve there. I worked with him, who I saw was watching. Steve was, I guess, the operations manager. And when I was doing a national show, we were on about 100 stations across the country. Enjoyed it. Used to get people. I had a station up in New Hampshire. Had a lady call me every week. She'd go, "Don't do too much gardening, but I like talking to the gardening guy. It's about 12 degrees up here." And I'd go, "Well, it's cold down here, too. It's about 80. We're having one of our cold spells." And it was great. She became a friend. She'd send me pictures of her cat socks. And just a real sweetheart. So it was fun. I think we were in Dover. We had a lot of stations from here to actually California. I think we had one in Hawaii for a while. So that was kind of interesting. I found that, fungus is fungus. No matter where you're at, you're going to have some of that from time to time. Aphids are aphids. Scales are scales. A lot of those insect problems will be throughout the country. Now, one of the nice things about a real cold spell is that you can get rid of some of the insects. At least some of the insects will go through a dormant period. I don't know about us. I mean, I noticed the other day we had a nice little freeze. I went out. Next day it warmed up a little bit, and there were still mosquitoes running around. And I thought, don't you guys know you're supposed to be, hibernating this time of year? And they didn't seem to. So some of the insects we have more insects than you can shake a stick at. It's one of the downsides. I mean, I guess they've been here before we were for a long time. I'm not ever sure why God created insects, but I guess there is in the overall plan. Who am I to judge? I had a lady call me up one time and she goes, "I think you've made all this stuff up about blights and fungus." And I said, "Well, go back and read the Old Testament. It's full of blights and pestilence, and those were both fungi and insects. The only problem then is a lot of people starve to death because of blights and pestilence. We get hacked off because it's on our rose bush, or our little cucumber maybe gets powdery mildew and dies off before it should." One thing I'd say about the trees, go out and take a look at your trees. Look for little tiny holes. Look for some bark peeling. Look for some bark cracking. Those are some of the telltale signs that you've got some problems going on with your trees. Most of the time when I look at older trees, I see problems. If you've got a tree, if you've got a palm, and not just the older row, but some of those middle row are starting to turn color, you very well could have one of the mycoplasma diseases. And they'll be lethal yellowing is one. Bronzing is sometimes called it. Texas Phoenix decline. It's kind of the same name for the bronzing. And you'll see it on these palms, and sometimes the more expensive palms. There are many people who will spend $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 on their palms. And if you start to see that, then if you call me, I will come out usually with James, let him do the actual work. I will sit and point. And we'll put some injectors in your tree. We'll leave a port in the tree. One of the systems we use was created by a man who was getting an IV about 30 years ago. And he said, "Look, if we can put IVs into people, why can't we figure out how to do it with trees?" And it kind of makes sense. I mean, yes, we have venations. Trees have both xylem tissue, which is water-conducting tissue, and they've got phloem, which is the food-conducting tissues. So they have kind of a venation system like we have. Not exactly the same. Now, it's different, but they do have the ability to get the water and nutrients up to the top of the tree. They have the ability to make the food through photosynthesis, which we don't, and they help bring the energy back down through the tree. So I can kind of use the vascular system of palms, or in the oaks, you can get into the cambium layer, which is that growth layer just underneath the outer bark. And I can use the tree system to help. If it's a borer problem, we can give them their last supper by putting injectors into the tree. We usually use some nutrients into the tree. Why do I like to use nutrients into a tree? The same reason most doctors are going to tell you to try to get healthy. Eating a proper diet, eating foods that have vitamins, and we all need, not just vitamin C, which we all think about with the orange juice and things, but and I would say if you're eating foods that you're going to juice, probably one of the things I have a problem with juice is you're losing a lot of the pulp. You're losing a lot of the soluble and insoluble fiber that your body needs. Now, I'm not going to try to really do a health show here, but I have watched health over the years, and somewhat I try to do what I think I can to keep myself healthy. And it's one of the reasons I'm a big, I grow these bananas, and because it's got potassium, it's got magnesium. I grow citrus because I like the vitamin C, and I like to take it naturally in water. One of the things I've tried to do over the years is cut way back on drinking sodas and drinking a lot more water. And water by itself is a bit boring, but if you put a little wedge of lemon in there, all of a sudden I find it a whole lot more palatable. But I can tell you the little bit of calorie you get off the lemon, which isn't very much in calories, you are getting some vitamin C, which is going to be helpful to you. So, it's funny, when I was a kid, you might drink a soda, like a 6-inch soda in a little small bottle, which, by the way, I thought they tasted a lot better back then for whatever reason. Some people will say, well, in the old days, Coca-Cola had Coke in it. And that's true. But that was out long by the time I came along as a youngster. But then we went to 12 ounce and 18 ounce and 24. Now I see people running out of the Pickwicks with these 42 ounces. And, I'm surprised you can have it put in almost an IV line. That much sugar is not good for you. Now, your body will pull the sugar because we're programmed for it forever. It's the reason we like fruit. Fruit has a lot of fructose, and it gives you that little, I like my carambolas, little star fruits. They're sweet. And I think on occasion that's good. But there's a difference in getting it where you eat the whole skin and you're getting all of the fiber that your body helps to slow down that absorption of the sugar. And that's kind of an important thing. So I do enjoy growing I've grown peaches, I've grown figs, I've grown, right now I've got bananas, I've got the carambolas. I had some, different Barbados cherries. You name it, I probably have tried to grow it. A lot of veggies. Broccoli. Right now you could grow broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, cabbage. They're all going to take the cold well. So, things like tomatoes, peppers, eggplant, not so much. They don't really like the cold, so I would probably either hold off on them or I'd put them into a container where you could bring them in if we have anything near freezing. So I'd probably hold off on that. If you want to start seeds in February, you could. And if you want to just take a chance, a lot of people will cover stuff over. They'll actually bring cuttings in during that time. I should have done that with my basil and my French or Cuban oregano. I didn't. I wish I had. But I will go to the store, buy another plant, and I will start that again because I love going out and having some rosemary on fish or chicken. I love having basil either in my tea or added to a salad. All of those things you can do and should do. Now, enjoy. When we talk about real estate, as I said, James has started the Dream It Real Estate, and it is something that he's good at. You like James, you like me. If you don't have an agent that you're currently working with and you are interested in buying a property, give us a call. We can help you. We're not pressure people. I'm not going to bug you every day because I don't do that. We have a condo right now, 1900 59th Avenue North, number 112. And we've got people looking at it. We're showing it now. I don't think it'll last too long at that price, $145,500. It is a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, and it's in St. Pete. And it's hard to find any kind of, anything under 200 in St. Pete is kind of amazing these days. So, keep that in mind if you're thinking of downsizing, maybe from your home to a condo. Lovely place, lovely people, nice pool, nice library, which means something to me. I like a good library. They've got activities, so give me a holler, 727-423-4794, and I can tell you more about it. Till next week, take time to smell the roses. Enjoy your life just as much as you can, because we're going through it pretty quick. Have a great one.
Want to talk real estate? Call James DeFreitas at 727-254-7127 or go online aflre.com.